Before we begin, my code espresso over at gfuel.com just got bumped up to 30% off for the next 10 days until the 26th, so it's a perfect time to restock, try a starter pack, or pick up a Carnage Shaker that we've mentioned here as a collaboration that I'm super proud of. If you're interested, check it out, link in the description below. Lately, I've probably against better judgment been working towards more camo challenges in Modern Warfare. Now, I'm still a long way off of Damascus, but slowly but surely, we're making some progress, and in that time I've been working on other weapons. I've come to find some hidden gems, I think, that really do feel like fantastic weapons, and ones that, even when all is said and done, I think I'll be coming back to and mess around with still, even when I finish completing them. So today I want to share with you guys these 5 weapons that I find to be surprisingly good, underrated if you will, and give you a class setup to go along with each of them so that you can, if you want to, work towards some camos or just want to move out of your comfort zone a little bit, you can, and you can do well with them. That said, let me know your thoughts firstly below. What do you think the most underrated weapon in this game is currently? And also, if you use any of these and perhaps even the suggested loadouts that go along with them, let me know how you do with them in the comments, or maybe tweet me a picture of your games, whatever it may be. As well, maybe considering that subscribe button if you're interested in staying up to date with all things Modern Warfare on a daily basis. We're getting closer to 300,000 here on the channel, so the content will still be here all the same, but if you're interested in staying up to date on a regular basis, the option's there. But anyways, let's jump into these weapons. First, I want to start out with a weapon that, truth be told, I absolutely hated when I started using it. If you don't have this thing ranked up, it can be a nightmare, but it does get better as you rank it up and get used to it. That being the FN Scar. Now, the Scar, it's a bulky beast of a rifle, and a lot of the times it kind of felt like I was playing more with an LMG rather than a rifle, and at its base, it's not really all that great. The iron sights I think could be better, the weapon has quite a bit of kick, and the recoil pattern is less than ideal for gunfights at range, and perhaps the worst part of the weapon, the magazine size at its base is only 20 rounds with a reserve of only 40, so chances are, even though this thing can pack a punch and has a solid damage profile, the other attributes bring down the base of the weapon quite a bit to the point where you only start to really have an option to flourish with it when you use Scavenger or Fully Loaded as the weapon perk. But here's the thing, when you get the weapon leveled up and kitted out, it can be an absolute beast. It's not a terrible option at that point. You can easily mitigate the recoil, you can easily mitigate the naturally lower ADS speed, you can easily mitigate the damage drop off at range, and of course, you can easily mitigate the low ammo problem. To me, if you pop on the Forged Tack 20-inch barrel, the GI Mini Reflex, the XRK Obelisk Pro, or the close quarters stock, the 30-round magazine, and then the fully loaded perk, that's a class that works well all around the natural strengths of the Scar, and that brings out the weapon to be something that focuses more on the weapon's positives. Now, I'd also recommend, if you're wanting a quicker release on the Scar, instead of, say, how I built it more so for medium range combat and an emphasis on decreasing the recoil a bit, I'd suggest running the stippled grip tape in place of perhaps the fully loaded weapon perk, and if you want a quicker gun up release, the close quarters stock in place of the Obelisk Pro, which helps the aiming stability instead of getting your gun up a little faster. But this will definitely take some getting used to because it is a slower weapon than most in the rifle category, and again, it will take some time to upgrade it and get the attachments that make it worthwhile, but once you do, it can absolutely shred through enemies when built out properly and in the right hands, so definitely give it a shot. Next up, we have the Kar 98K, which is a slight deviation from what I normally play around with, that being rifles and SMGs. Naturally, this marksman rifle is something that's probably gonna have to slow down your playstyle for the majority of users that run around with it. Now, granted, there are definitely some clips out there that show players absolutely popping off with this thing, but a lot of the times that's not going to be your every single engagement you take. So to me, I definitely had to slow down my playstyle a little bit, but once I got the hang of it, once I ranked it up again, this is, as with all these weapons, are weapons that definitely need some help in their attachments and what you can equip them on. But once I finally ranked it up, once I got the hang of it, I really started to enjoy it, and it was something that outside of the meta weapons has become one of my go-tos. Now, one of the loadouts that I'd suggest here, what I've been running on this, is the SynGuard custom 27.6-inch barrel, the sniper scope, the F-Tac sport stock for a little quicker ADS time, sleight of hand because you reload shots individually in the Kar 98K, so you want to make sure that you end up having the ability to get back into the action as fast as possible, and then of course the stippled grip tape for, again, that extra speed in that ADS time. So this to me, it's more so built for not necessarily the quick scoper's dream, but it is something that allows you to get that gun up, and if you are using a bolt action, you want to have as much of an advantage if you can in those gunfights if somebody, say, jumps up on top of you, or if you need to take a shot quicker than the other guy. You can, of course, play the range, but the Kar 98K isn't going to compete with the AX50 with the HDR at range. That's just how it is. And so you'll be able to take some of the longer range engagements, but the medium range engagements are where you're probably going to find the majority of them. So to be able to have that extra speed, getting your weapon up is absolutely crucial. So that's how I build it out here with this one. But again, it will take some time to get used to, will take some time to rank up and get these attachments unlocked if you haven't done so already, but it's one that I think you can definitely flourish with. I usually run this with overkill, to be honest with you, with either an SMG or maybe even a rifle of some sort, just so that I have that backup that if I do get into a pinch situation, I get a hit marker or something in close quarters, I can quickly swap then to having that secondary that can finish off the enemy. Next up, let's talk about the FR556, another weapon that at the very beginning when I started to use it, I really wasn't a huge fan of it at all. And it's because you have to be very accurate with this. You have to land all your shots for it to be an absolute insane weapon. If I'm not mistaken, I think it actually does have the fastest time to kill if you land all 3 shots of the burst, in which if that's the case, you're one bursting people. But when you have the weapon bare, when you have it with no attachments, and you might not be able to land chest high shots every single burst, it is something that you start to notice that it's not the best weapon for some situations. But when you start to rank that up, when you start to get more accurate and you can land those shots instead of having to wait for that burst delay, you'll notice a complete 180. Once I started to get a little bit more accurate with it, once I started to adjust my playstyle to give me a little bit better of a chance in gunfights, I absolutely loved the thing. And then when you build it out with what, say, I did, I loved it even more. To me, the weapon with the FR 24.4-inch sniper barrel, the Solo Zero optic, or the GI Mini reflex. I'm not a huge fan of the iron sights, though they definitely can work if you're not looking to lose a class slot because of an optic. The fully loaded perk, the stippled grip tape, and the Commando foregrip are absolutely fantastic on this thing. Now, when I'm working towards camo challenges, I'll swap on something like a 5 milliwatt laser or a Merc foregrip for that hip fire accuracy, but outside of that, I kind of play with the designated build that we just mentioned, and it works wonders. One of the first games that I played, I think, with this exact setup, I actually ended up finding a ground war lobby where I think I died on a 27 or 28 for a nuke streak, only because the parachute system's bugged. Despite having absolutely mashed my buttons to open up my parachute, it just didn't seem to want to do it. So farewell to that one, unfortunately, but I was able to absolutely shred through enemies with absolute ease, even at range. At range, you're probably not going to pull off those 1 bursts, but still in 2 bursts, if you're accurate, you can absolutely take down an enemy from on top of a skyscraper. So it is something that definitely is nice, and this loadout really did become one that I really enjoyed. Next up, we're going to talk about one that I think we've mentioned here in passing before, but I've really recently started to love it a whole lot, that being the MP7. Now, does the MP7 in this game match up to the legendary MP7 of, say, Modern Warfare 3? I don't think it really is that OP, but it's definitely one that I don't see a lot of people really using it. And for that reason, I kind of question, well, why? If you're not going to be in close quarters engagements, I understand in that capacity. But when you're running, say, Karst River Quarry, when you're running on a smaller 6v6 map, and there's a lot of places to duck in and out of cover, it's a fantastic option of a weapon. I usually end up running this for solely the close quarters engagements. I end up running the FSS SWAT barrel, the no stock option, sleight of hand, the stippled grip tape, and the Commando foregrip, to which this builds out the fastest possible build that you can have with the MP7. Now, it's going to take a little bit of extra accuracy sometimes to pull off kills, because the barrel isn't something that keeps that damage at range, so it is something that's better suited for those close quarters instead of, say, medium or long range engagements. But it's definitely possible still. You just need that little extra accuracy, a little extra control on your shot, but it is something that all around can be a pretty powerful loadout. And again, with it being built and suited for quick action, being able to get your gun up in as little time as possible, you'll definitely notice, even against, say, a regularly kitted MP7, that this one definitely stands out. So give that one a try. Again, it was one that, going for challenges, I've absolutely loved as of recently, so check it out, let me know what you think. But the final weapon we'll talk about today is that of the Odin. Now, this one I think we've actually mentioned here in the past, of it being something that is in the top 5 power rankings, I think, of weapons, just because of it has the highest damage per shot profile of all the rifles. And so it's absolutely a powerhouse with the right loadout, but even though we have put it on our top 5 weapons, I still don't see all that many people using it. Every so often I'll see people using it with a sniper scope, making the VKS out of it, but other than that, I don't experience it a whole ton. I still definitely see the M4, I still definitely see the MP5, and I even see some of the weapons here on this list before I see the Odin in a lot of situations. So maybe I'm just the oddball out here whenever it comes to that. Maybe you guys experience it a lot more, but for that, I definitely recommend giving the Odin a try. The Colossus Suppressor, the Solo Zero Optic Mini Reflex, the FTAC XL Elite Stock, the Sleight of Hand, Perk, and Stippled Grip Tape are my preferred and go-to loadout here for this, because the Odin naturally has a slower ADS time, naturally has a little bit more kick, so that Colossus Suppressor with the added weight allows you to mitigate that a little bit. So with the grip tape and of course the ADS bonuses of the stock, both those properties that are less than ideal in terms of the recoil and then also the ADS time are tackled. Now, you're definitely going to need to account for the slower rate of fire, but once you do that, I bet you have an absolute blast with this weapon. But all in all, that's my pick here for what I think are the 5 most underrated but absolutely awesome weapons within Modern Warfare. It's been a tough road going for challenges, and I still have so much of a road going ahead of me. But it is something that, having played around with some of these weapons, I'm happy that I've found some loadouts that I think work well in almost all situations. So let me get your thoughts in the comments down below. Are there any of these that you guys absolutely love? Any that you guys would throw into a list of underrated weapons? Whatever it may be, feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But that said, hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you drop a like down below. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Modern Warfare, updates, news, information, tips, tricks, all that good stuff. We got you covered here on the channel. So if any of that interests you, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing. If you guys also want to follow me over on Twitter and Instagram, those are the best places to get connected outside of YouTube. Practically live on both those. So if you guys want to straight up a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, that link is down there in the description below. But on that out of the way, my name is Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.